My name is Jacque Fresco. I would like to speak about the Venus Project.
I'm Roxanne Meadows, and I work with the Venus Project.
The Venus Project is an attempt to bring all nations together. So we put an end to war, poverty, hunger, unemployment throughout the world. It's a new system, has nothing in common with any of the old systems, communism, socialism, fascism, or free enterprise. It's brand new. Resource-based economy uses resources rather than money. If you don't understand what that means, if people were stranded on an island with lots of money, and the island had no water, no fish, no arable land, you have nothing. Resource-based economy uses resources rather than money, and it declares all the Earth's resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. It will remove all the artificial boundaries that separate people and bring the world together to solve problems in resource management, the environment, and human beings, to do away with war, poverty, hunger, unemployment. There is a way of doing that.
The resource-based economy does not use money, barter, credit, or servitude or of any kind, nor taxation. We make goods and services available to everyone. We have the technology to do that now. We have the technology to create abundance, and this is what the Venus Project advocates.
None of the systems used today, even the wealthiest person will live better in a resource-based economy. We don't want to kill anybody or hurt anybody. There are no armies, no navies, no police.
Well, the Venus Project advocates total city systems. The cities that we live in today are chaotic, a tremendous waste of resources, and really detrimental to people's health. So the Venus Project proposes new total city systems that are clean, efficient, energy resource conserving, and eventually we feel that we will build these cities and people will move into them, and we demolish many of the old cities and mine them for the resources that they have, and of course keep many of the old buildings as monuments or museum cities.
There is no government, technical or otherwise. We hope eventually to eliminate government. During the transition, there'll be minor government. But in the future, computers will be connected to production, distribution of goods, agriculture, all of the functional sequences. They will not control people, just production of goods and services. The government will be completely automated, and that means, if you don't understand what that means, the Department of Agriculture will have its electrical tentacles into the soil, and if the water table drops, that will pump water out there. If nutrients drop, it'll pump nutrients out there. You don't need people anymore. In the old days, you needed people to operate the elevators. Now they're gone. You used to have an iceman to bring ice. They're gone. We hope to phase out government because all attempts made at government have failed in the world today. Communism, socialism, free enterprise, fascism, all of them insufficient.
We want to use the methods of science in government and how that applies to a social system. You know, scientists today are given problems and they solve them better than most systems that we have, primitive belief systems or politics or religion. So we feel not scientists running things, but how you distribute goods and services, how to build bridges, how to make clean, efficient energy. Those are all scientific problems.
In a world without provisions for people, you build all the problems. But when you people have access to whatever they need, they have no hatred. No one steals water from a natural waterfall. If there's lots of water, they don't come at night and steal water. When people have access to things, where you don't own things, you have access, immediate access. I don't mean wait 3 months for access. When you have access to things, people's behavior changes. If you don't understand that, if it rained gold for 2 days, people would bring it in the house, fill all the drawers, the cellar, the attic. But if it kept raining gold for a year, they'd sweep it out of the house. So value is based on scarcity.
Goods and services will be developed by those who are working cooperatively to make this happen. Today we have individual industries that are all fighting for one another for competitive gain. In the future, a system without money, they would work together, and all the brightest minds in that area can work on putting out efficient transportation or food that can be delivered to different parts of the world where most efficiently with all the nutrients in it during the transition before they can make things locally, before the cities are built. So you could extrude food and cut it up and then package it in biodegradable packages. So people will be working in all areas to make, because everybody needs the same thing: clean air, clean water, food, and a relevant education. So distribution will be done by those who are more knowledgeable in the fields and services.
When the machines take over, what will people do? It isn't a machine takeover. The machines will be assigned projects. People don't understand what that means. It means that when a person used to look out of an airplane some about a mile high, today with Doppler radar, they know exactly how high. So that person's decision making is turned over to a machine only because the machine is better. You used to have ladies operate elevators with the crane, and they couldn't quite get to the floor. Today you press 20, it stops exactly at the floor. So the machines only replace boring, uninteresting, unsafe jobs will be replaced by machine. But the people are not unemployed. They can go back to school, study art, music, whatever they're interested in. And in the future, there'll be sailboats for your use, lots of them, bicycles, cars. People don't own anything. There's really no need. What you really want is the use of a car when you want it. So we have hundreds of sailboats, other boats for your use. You just don't own anything. And satellites watch over you to make sure your boat's safe.
There's a question. Since the 70s, you've talking about socio-cyber nearing. Do you still believe this idea could become reality nowadays, near future? How near?
Now more than ever, because of the new inventions, the new computers can handle 1,000 trillion bits of information per second. No humans can do that. So I would say that humans, assisted by machines, can overcome 90% of the problems.
And also, the internet is a tremendous thing that facilitates communication between people and helps to introduce these ideas.
So there's no artificial, meaning like the robots have an artificial brain that can decide over people. That's all misuse of cinema for people.
Not only that, it's the misuse and abuse of technology.
Yes, that all comes from science fiction movies. It's really an extrapolation of the free enterprise system into the future, where there's Big Brother watching over you and the technology is abusive to you. I think that's happening today. What we have is the abuse and misuse of technology today. It's not for the benefit of people, but for just a few taking advantage of others for the competitive gain. But also in terms of making the movie here in Greece, it would be ideal. The Zeitgeist movement, which is the activist arm of the Venus Project here in Greece, is doing tremendous work and seems to be very well organized and has introduced this for many years to the media and different universities, and we were very impressed with all of that. So Greece could be the country that introduces this to the rest of the world, but it's really a global effort, and we'd invite people from all over the world to stay in the first city and then go out and build one in their country and another in another country.
Is it a real obstacle to the effort of developing the Venus project in society?
The only obstacle are those we impose upon ourselves. Humans can accomplish anything if they're permitted to do so. When we blockaded the Germans from getting rubber, they invented synthetic rubber. So we have enough technology today to solve 90% of the problems.
There is an obstacle today of ignorance. People are trying to freeze things as they are. Those people who have differential advantage over others, they find a system that works for them and they try and freeze it. But it's not working. The system is failing all over the world, and those countries that understand this and try something new, excuse me, and try something new will succeed, and the others will fall behind.
As you said, rich people can live better in a resource-based economy because they have all the possibilities and nothing to lose.
Or not only that, but heart disease, cancer, tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, these are problems to all nations. That's what we work on, not killing other people.
And of course, a heart disease does not discriminate a poor person from a wealthy person.
They all need the same amount of food. We make it available.
Yes, and as long as there are poor people and some rich people, there are threats of breaking into somebody's home who has more. If somebody travels in the best car and can afford that, those people who can't and can't afford a brake job, then the wealthy people and those who have better cars are threatened when they collide.
And how do we approach these people that have the power?
You can't approach them until they lose their factories, until unemployment is excessively high. Then you can approach them. Right now, nobody cares, as long as everything is still getting by. But when the banks fail, the money system fails, they'll be looking for new ideas, and they will cooperate, because there's no other alternative. Even fascism won't work anymore, because you have to pay armies. If you don't have taxes or money, you can't pay armies. You can't pay politicians.
I think our main hope is to expose other people to this direction, and now is the appropriate time to do it. There might not be a lot of people who are in the position to do something who will be listening, but if we get this information out there, they may understand at some time that this is a more appropriate way to work.
Communism uses money. It has armies, navies, prisons, police, politics, and social stratification. We don't have any of that.
Communism is for the labor class. We are for the labor class in terms of wanting to automate as quickly as possible and free them to go back to school and doing other things that they want to do.
If we fail to take on the responsibility for our own future, others will do our thinking for us. It's called fascism. The plan is to put this out so people understand it. When more people understand it, the transition from the money system to the resource-based economy will be smoother.
People don't have a direction to work towards. All they know is communism, socialism, free enterprise system, or capitalism and fascism. This is entirely different than anything that's been put forth today. So we'd like to do a major motion picture to introduce this to the general public, to show what's missing in society, what they could have. We'd like to show in the film what the future could be in a resource-based economy, and then flashbacks of how we get from here to there to help answer questions for people.
Religion will be permitted by anybody, their beliefs permitted by everybody. But on the radio on Sunday, there'll be all religions, whatever people believe and what they don't believe. And up to the audience to turn it on or off. But religion will be free.
There will be buildings built for religious worship for those who need that, but during the week, those buildings will be used for other things, so everybody can take advantage and use them.
Our Prime Minister declared Greece Denmark of the South. That is his dream. But it seems there is no public money left for investment on this resource-based economy for Greece. Could there be any solution during the crisis as we move to the transition plan, the new model of green development, without needing money from abroad? Because now everything is bought and we have a servitude to foreign money.
You're right, very much so. I think that some industrialists realize that our society is undergoing change, and they may finance the new development of an experimental city. It could be public financing, private financing of a new city to test out the new system. And if it works, it'll be to influence all the other countries surrounding this area.
We talked again about Greece becoming the model of resource-based economy. And you believe that we can start something great from here?
Yes, you can. It could be an example to the world. When you build your first city based on the Venus Project's design, it'll be garden cities with beautiful flowers and lakes, nothing like the cities today. There'll be clean air. We have to clean the air, the oceans, all the damage done by the money system. They've been dumping garbage into the ocean. Not only that, radioactive material, nerve gas is dumped into the ocean. Ships clean out their bilge and oil into the oceans. We have to clean all that up. That's the biggest job of the filth created by the system of greed and personal gain.
And that's why maybe it is easier to start it in an island, self-sufficient, than in a city in Greece. That's why the island of Estratis is easier to start it there, because there's nothing there. You can start it from zero ground.
Right, and other people can come and visit it and see what it is we have in mind. And if they like living there and they see the benefits of it, they will advocate that all over the world.
So it is very important that this island already has built an academy which wants to become the first renewable energy academy and research center. So we have that already in the island.
Yes, and we see it if we can build a first city, and it would be also a research center there, and then we would share the developments with the country that is hosting us. So there would be tremendous advantage for that particular country.
So this link with the university, with the research teams is very important. These are the people that will help us do the breakthrough in the society.
Exactly that. You're right. You're moving in the right direction if you use experimental architecture, build a new city, try to evaluate what makes crime, what makes jealousy, what makes hatred. If we don't do that kind of research, we cannot correct the system.
Are we in a good way for that?
Right now you're safe, but if you wait too long and keep polluting the air and the cars are more and more crowded, then you can arrive at a position of no return, and that's dangerous. I would rather make a movie now to show people what the world could be, rather than wait as the pollution continues. We could hurt ourselves very much if we fail to act.
Also, a lot of the activists who complain about what's happening in the system, they end up trying to do patchwork, like feed this group of people here or house another group here, but it doesn't address the real problems. The overall social design that we have in the monetary system are the problems, and they always work around it and try and do patchwork, and it won't. Right, and it won't solve our problems that we have today. The Venus Project is the only group that I have seen that has looked into what the problems are and try and design a society where you don't need to fight for women's rights or human rights, because everyone has access to goods and services.
Every move, women's liberation, women vote, children working in factories, was fought every inch of the way. To build a future, the flying machine, the space program, was fought against. So every new idea has to be progressively great, but an informed public is the best thing you can have. We don't order people to do anything. We build a world in which people grow up well educated. Children are given fairy tales, Mickey Mouse Club, all this bull. And what we have to do, children are curious about everything. They want to know what makes a traffic jam, what keeps the moon up there. So we can teach children real things. They don't need the big bear and the 3 little bears. They don't need that stuff. They need knowledge. Well, if enough people know about the Venus Project, the transition will be smooth. But if they don't know about it, it will be not smooth. It will cause a lot of inconveniences.
So which would be, according to you, the best reaction of Greece? What should we do to come out of the crisis?
Study the Venus Project. Look it up, thevenusproject.com. And when you're familiar with it, discuss it with other people. And the faster you discuss it, the more you put out, the smoother the transition.
We feel that the Venus Project gives people a direction to move toward that's updated to the technology we have, that applies science and technology to the social design for the betterment of everyone and the environment. It excludes no one.
It will have no military systems, no police, no prisons, none of the systems used today. Even the wealthiest person will live better in a resource-based economy. We don't want to kill anybody or hurt anybody. There are no armies, no navies, no police. Well, there'll be no debt because there's no money. The money system will fail, just like the banks failed in the United States. They were bailed out. If they weren't bailed out, they would have failed sooner. They're still going to fail.
Would you call yourself a socio-political utopian?
No, because to me there's no utopia. Whatever city you design today will be surpassed in the future. There are no final frontiers. If you don't understand that, your laptop 5 years from now will be smaller, lighter, faster. But never can anyone design the best, always transitional.